Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden architecture of money, the invisible scaffolding that holds up our entire global financial system. And you'll see it's not quite what you think.
So picture this, a £50 million apartment in London, completely empty. It's owned by a shell company, which is controlled by a trust, which is managed by a lawyer who represents someone, well, nobody knows who. And this isn't some super secret spy movie plot. It's the actual blueprint for how trillions of dollars just disappear into the legitimate economy every single year. So let's follow the money.
Okay, so that one apartment, that's just a single brick in a massive, massive wall. Now we're going to zoom out and see just how big this thing really is. We're about to dive into a $2 trillion secret that's hiding in plain sight.
Just look at that number for a second. That's $2.2 trillion. And that's the low estimate. We're talking about more than the entire economy of a country like France being laundered, made to look legitimate every single year. But what's really wild is how good they are at it.
Get this, the authorities only managed to catch and seize about 1% of all that money. 1%. That means criminals have a 99% success rate. I mean, with odds like that, it's not just a crime. It's one of the best business models on the planet. And that brings up a really crucial point.
See, none of this is happening in some dark alley. It's all happening right out in the open. We're talking luxury real estate, big shot law firms, banks with fancy marble lobbies. The very same system that lets you buy something from halfway across the world in seconds is the exact same system that makes all this possible. They're two sides of the same coin.
So where does all this dirty money go to get cleaned? Well, there's not just one place. It's more like a global network of cities, and each one has its own specialty. They're all competing for this business. Let's take a quick tour, and we're starting in the desert.
Dubai's whole reason for being is basically to be a place where money can just flow, no questions asked. Think about it. No income tax, almost no rules on moving cash around, and up until recently, you didn't really have to tell anyone who owned anything. So a luxury apartment there isn't really a home. It's more like a storage container for value. You buy it with cash, you let it sit, you sell it later, and boom, your money's clean.
All right, next stop, London. This place is all about sophistication and a veneer of respectability. It's wild. Nearly 1 out of every 10 properties in Westminster, the political heart of the entire UK, is owned by some anonymous offshore company. They've passed new laws to try and create transparency, but they've barely made a dent. The system is built to help this stuff happen, not to stop it.
And this chart right here, it explains exactly why. Let's say you're a criminal with £10 million, and you just want to park it somewhere safe. Where are you going to go? To New York, where you'll pay almost $1 million in taxes over 5 years? Or to London, where you'll pay just $10,000? I mean, it's not a hard choice, is it?
And now for the big irony. The one country that talks the loudest about fighting financial crime, the United States, well, turns out it launders more money than anywhere else on Earth. We're talking $300 billion a year.
And what's the number one way they do it? You guessed it. A shocking 74% of the biggest schemes involve real estate. And it's all made possible by this perfectly legal thing called an anonymous LLC, a limited liability company. It's basically a corporate shield that lets you buy a skyscraper without anyone ever knowing your name.
Okay, so we've seen where the money goes, but how does it actually happen? How does dirty cash get washed clean? Let's crack open the modern playbook for financial crime.
The classic way, the old school model, was pretty simple. Step 1, you get the cash into a bank. Step 2, you bounce it around between a bunch of shell companies and different accounts to make it confusing. And step 3, you bring it back into the real economy to buy a car or a house. But, that's kind of basic now.
Today's playbook is way more sophisticated because it blurs the line between what's legal and what's not. You can fudge the numbers on shipping invoices, that's almost impossible to police. You can use the anonymity of crypto, or, my personal favorite, you can buy high-value art. It's a totally unregulated market where a painting is worth whatever two people say it's worth. Genius, right?
And there's a real human cost to all of this. Right at the bottom of the pyramid, young people, often just looking for some extra cash, get roped into being money mules. They see an ad online for an easy side hustle. Just let someone deposit money into your account, you send it on, and you get to keep a cut. What they don't realize is they've just become the first link in a huge international criminal chain.
And all of this brings us to the most uncomfortable truth in this whole story. This isn't a glitch in the system that we can just patch up. No, this is a fundamental feature. And the crazy part is, the global economy pretty much depends on it.
So this is the question you've got to be asking yourself by now, right? We know where it's happening, we know how they do it, so why don't we just shut it all down?
I mean, the fixes seem so simple. Make public lists of who owns what, bring in real criminal penalties, force people to prove where their money came from. But the reason we don't is, well, it's awkward. Because all those tools that criminals use, the shell companies, the financial privacy, the easy way money flows across borders, those are the exact same tools that make legitimate global business possible. You can't turn one off without crippling the other.
And we have to remember what's really at stake here. This is absolutely not a victimless crime. That empty £50 million apartment in London, that money probably came from a hospital budget in a poor country, or it was stolen from a fund meant to build roads, or it's profits from human trafficking. This system fuels corruption, it funds violence, and it keeps poor countries poor.
The scale is just, it's hard to even comprehend. $7 trillion. That's how much private wealth is just hidden away, totally off the books, siphoned out of the real economy. This isn't just about a few rich people dodging taxes. This is a whole parallel financial universe operating by its own rules.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The money laundering capital of the world isn't one city. It's a system, a global architecture, and we're all living inside of it. The real question isn't why this is happening. The real question is why we've designed a world where the tools for global business and the tools for global crime are exactly the same. And as long as that's true, the money is just going to keep on flowing.